Ruth. Naomi, Ruth's mother-in-law, said to her, "My daughter, I need some security for you, so that it may be well with you. Now here is our kinsman Boaz, with whose young woman you have been working. See, he is winnowing barley tonight on the threshing floor. Wash and anoint yourself, and put on your best clothes, and go down to the threshing floor. But do not make yourself known to the man until he has finished eating and drinking. When he lies down, observe the place where he lies. Then go and uncover his feet and lie down, and he will tell you what to do." She said to her, "All that you tell me, I will do." So Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife. When they came together, the Lord made her conceive, and she bore a son. Then the woman said to Naomi, "Blessed be the Lord, who has not left you this day without next of kin, and may his name be renowned in Israel. He shall be to you a restorer of life and a nourisher of your old age. For your daughter-in-law who loves you, who is more to you than 7 sons, has borne him." Then Naomi took the child and laid him in her bosom and became his nurse. The woman of the neighborhood gave him a name, saying, "A son has been born to Naomi." They named him Obed. He became the father of Jesse, the father of David. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God. The Holy Gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ according to Mark.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Teaching in the temple, Jesus said, "Beware of the scribes who like to walk around in long robes, and to be greeted with respect in the marketplaces, and to have the best seats in the synagogues and places of honor at banquets. They devour widows' houses, and for the sake of appearance say long prayers. They will receive the greater condemnation." He sat down opposite the treasury and watched the crowd putting money into the treasury. Many rich people put in large sums. A poor widow came and put in 2 small copper coins, which are worth a penny. Then he called his disciples and said to them, "Truly I tell you, this poor widow has put in more than all those who are contributing to the treasury. For all of them have contributed out of their abundance, but she out of her poverty has put in everything she had, all she had to live on." The Gospel of the Lord. Please be seated. Both the lesson from the book of Ruth and our Gospel today speak of widows. Well, it still may not be easy for a woman who is widowed. Today we have Social Security, insurance, and pensions that help to provide financially when a woman loses her husband. And of course, today most women earn their own livings and are not solely dependent on their husband's income. But in biblical times, the life of a widow was harsh. Frequently, there were little to no savings for those who were not rich. The choices were limited. She could beg for alms, which may or may not ensure a minimum amount of food, or she could prostitute herself. The Holy Scriptures speak frequently of God's concern for the widow, and the prophets make it clear God's will is that people should care for them and see to their needs. However, that often did not happen. Otherwise, why would God need to frequently remind them? In our passage from the Old Testament, the widow Naomi is instructing her daughter-in-law Ruth, who is also a widow, how to secure the support of Naomi's kinsman Boaz. She's basically telling her how to seduce him in the hope that he will provide for her. The story is somewhat abbreviated, moving quickly from the seduction to the marriage. It does not fully portray the sense of risk she was taking. Not just that Boaz might reject her, but that he could sleep with her and still not support her. Boaz goes beyond what is expected and takes Ruth as his wife, ensuring both her security and Naomi's. In the Gospel, Jesus speaks of widows. He's berating the scribes, the religious leaders and teachers of Israel in his rich people put in large sums. A poor widow came and put in 2 small copper coins, which are worth a penny. Jesus tells his disciples something surprising, the opposite of what their eyes had just seen. He says the widow has given the most money. Almost wealthy people had plenty and to spare. What they gave would not really impact their comfort and security. And they gave openly so that everyone might see and admire them. But the widow gives from what little she has. She cannot give large amounts of money like the wealthy people who precede and follow her. She does not give so that others might be impressed, but rather from a deep response of faith and trust in God. She gives a couple of small coins, but it's all that she has. She gives trusting in God. She gives in a sure knowledge that God is the source of everything that she does have. We may think she's foolish, like she's taking too big a risk when she's so vulnerable. But that is what those who trust and follow God are called to do. Ruth takes a big risk when she follows the advice of Naomi. But Boaz is a righteous man who understands the responsibility God has given him in caring for others. And he does not take advantage of Ruth, but takes her as his wife. God blesses Ruth and Naomi and all the people when Ruth conceives and gives birth to Obed, who is the father of Jesse, the father of King David. And we know that Jesus is from the line of King David. Now in the Gospels, we don't see what happens to the widow. We're left with the uncertainty of just what will happen to her. We need to trust, surely as she does, that God will bless her as well, and she will have what she needs to live. We too are called to live out our lives in faith and trust in God, giving from what we have generously, sacrificially, to those who, like the widow, are in need. We're called to give our whole selves to God. That's what we do each time we gather